What is going on, everybody? Happy draft day. Welcome to your Eagles pre-draft party here on DSM Media's YouTube channel. Guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure first and foremost you check us out on Twitter at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly appreciate it. While you're over on the Twitter page, make sure to check out the link tree. It's in our bio. It will take you to every social media platform we are available on. If you guys want to be interactive throughout tonight's show, if you want to check out any of our DSM pregame lives, this is the spot to do it. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications on the YouTube channel. I am one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. You can find me on Twitter as well at DylanJD98. To my right, my co-host Scotty. Check him out on Twitter at Scotty Drown. This Eagles pre-draft party is brought to you by Manscaped, guys. So use promo code DSM at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that is promo code DSM, all capital letters, at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. No agenda, no segments on the show tonight, Scotty. Just hanging out, talking Eagles, talking this number 10th overall pick, and just kind of getting in our final predictions, final wants, dislikes, everything like that. But how are you feeling, man, as we are less than an hour and a half away?
I'm excited. I'm not nervous. I don't know. I'm a little edgy, I guess, with this pick, and I just want. I don't understand why everybody can't see the things the way that we see them, man. As we get closer to the draft, and there's just like this really weird feeling in my gut that there is like a 35% chance that we take an offensive lineman tonight, and I'm not gonna be like hating on the pick. Like, I'm not gonna call it a terrible pick, but it just makes me question everything with Cam Jurgens and why all of a sudden the right guard spot is being called a hole. Why is that being called a hole all of a sudden? Like, we didn't lose Isaac Seumalo yesterday. Like that now all of a sudden it's a hole, as if we weren't to fill that hole with Cam Jurgens the whole time. So just wondering what the backtrack is there. But other than that, man, I'm excited to see what we add to this team. I mean, either way, it's a top 10 pick. I'm hoping they stay there or move up.
Right.
But I'm excited, man. Anytime you have your team who's coming off a Super Bowl loss, but also has a top 10 pick, also has 2 first-round picks, you're set for a pretty good night no matter what, I would say. So I'm excited nonetheless, just a little edgy.
No, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about draft night, it is probably the most exciting night of the offseason, right? No probably about it. It is. But normally when you are a team that made a deep playoff run, when you just made a Super Bowl appearance, you either do not have a first-round pick and you don't care about tonight, or you have a back end of the first-round pick, like the 30th overall, as the Eagles already have. But they are in a very different situation than a lot of teams are right now, with having the 10th overall pick via the New Orleans Saints. And you bring up the linemen. So let's start right then and there. And guys, anybody that wants to join the show and jump in, obviously, we already have D-Rab in the back. He'll come in a few moments once he's ready to kind of give us his thoughts and run down for tonight. But to talk about Skoronski, to talk about the other offensive linemen in this draft, I get it. An offensive lineman, offensive tackle is never the sexy pick, but for a top 10 pick, there's a lot of times it is the correct pick. Like, you look at Elaine Johnson, right? You look at that kind of player, and he is a pillar in this organization for over a decade plus to come, and hopefully many more years. I'm in a very weird spot with this selection when it comes down to an O lineman, and here's why. If he is a day one starter, if he comes in and let's say it's Skoronski, that is the pick, and he comes in and you plug him in at right guard, and he is a beast in between Kelsey and Lane, and he is your right guard for the next decade, it is obviously going to be looked back on as a fantastic pick. But I feel like there is a large portion of Eagles fans and media members and people out there that don't even view the offensive lineman pick as a must-start type of player. They're looking at it as a depth addition. They're looking at it as lane replacement down the line. And that I can't get behind. You are Super Bowl ready. Not just this year, for the next 5+ years. You have a very large window. I don't understand the perception of let's have this 10th overall pick that hopefully we're not going to be in this position to select again at for a decade. And let's use it as a depth piece. Let's not
Yeah,
use it as a day
no.
one starter impact type of player. That I cannot get behind nor understand.
Yeah. And look at this, man. I mean, this is a very, very good point. I think, we almost look at an offensive lineman in the draft and we think we got Jeff Stoutland, right? We got the best offensive line coach
Right.
in the business, and he can make this guy a star. But that's not always the case. Andre Dillard never got run on this
Right.
roster. Now, mind you, it's because Jordan Mailata was groomed and made into this great starting left tackle. So we don't know how good Andre Dillard was, but that was a first round pick. You have to imagine that he got all of the benefit of doubt that you could ever have in this organization. We know how he doesn't give up on his first round picks, his early round picks. We've seen it with a ton of different guys that have given us more than enough signals that they should not be
Right.
on the field, should not even be on the team at some points, and he still sticks with them just because of that draft position. You look at Dillard, it's not even a lock for you to like go and grab this depth piece and say, oh, this will definitely be our pillar. That's our lock of the draft, right? Like, so there's not even a reason to go away from other positions
And
in
and
that
I would
case.
Right, and I would throw this to you. If you are one of those people that want an offensive lineman, a depth piece, a right guard to start, or a future, whatever, what's wrong with the 30th pick? Why
Right.
can't you take your lineman there?
Why
Look
does it
what
have
you
to be the
did
top 10?
with Landon Dickerson, the way that he's panned out so far, with how great he's been. Cam Jurgens, obviously he was brought in as Kelsey's replacement. He's supposed to be able to play guard, so Cam Jurgens could also start for you.
Yeah.
Those were second-round picks. What is wrong with that 30th pick? What is wrong with trading back into the second round? What is wrong with your already second-round pick to go and get that right guard, that depth piece? You still correct me if I'm wrong. Jack Driscoll's
Depth
still on
piece.
this. Jack Driscoll's still on this roster, right? I didn't miss
Yeah.
something this offseason.
Yeah, no, he's
He's
still in
still
the
here.
roster.
He can still play guard, right?
Yeah.
So you already have more than some depth at these positions, right? You don't have a ton of it. But my point is, we are talking 10th overall pick, Scotty. Yeah. We are coming into this draft post Super Bowl run with the 30th pick, and that's it. And debating on what the Eagles should do. Should they take Jahmyr Gibbs with this pick? Should they take that right guard? At that point, if this was the only selection they had tonight, I would go the guard route with you. Not this situation. Yeah. I'm not saying to be irresponsible with the pick. I'm not saying just because, Bijan with that running back pick, take the sexy pick. It's an offensive, I'm not saying any of that because of this. You do not take a non-impact day one starter with this pick. That's being irresponsible.
I agree. And I think a good way to put it, just because I don't want to seem like we're having like this little fit of like, oh, don't take offensive linemen. We hate building the trenches. No, it's not like that. We understand that you build through the trenches. And I think I can
look how this team's been built. Trust me, I understand.
Yeah, like we understand how it needs built. But I think a couple of the points that we already hit, you have Jeff Stoutland, so you can take a guy in the later round and probably develop him into a starter. There's a higher chance of you being able to do that. Right. But not only that, it's not that we're totally 110% against it. It's just that if you have some of these impact players in other positions that you are lacking available, then you should take them at that point because you do have pieces there that are plausible on the offensive line. Like if JS, like say it this way, if Bijan goes to Atlanta at 8, if Jalen Carter goes to Seattle at 5, and whatever else has to happen, right? Nolan Smith gets drafted at 9 for some reason since we like him so much. If that happens, and say they pick, the Peter Scott, I don't want to mispronounce his name. Northwestern dude, offensive tackle / guard, very versatile, right? Say they take him over a JSN or a cornerback. That's a totally different conversation for me. That's a totally different conversation for me because those positions we are sufficed in.
I agree with you there.
I think that's a good point to put out there. It's just that there's a strong chance that you will be able to either move up and get the guy in another position that you would want, and you have to take that opportunity now because you have that 10th pick to offer, or there's going to be a guy that falls to you that you should be able to draft that will fit you better to start right now.
I completely agree. And I kind of want to get off of the offensive lineman train, and we can come back to it as the show goes on. And don't forget, guys, to keep throwing us your comments, your predictions on what you want to happen tonight. But like when it comes to the offensive line and people talking about being responsible with the pick, and just because you're in this situation via trade and you have another first, you don't need to take a Bijan Robinson. You don't need to take a wide receiver. I would argue it's the reverse. I would argue being so naive and selecting out of luxury, taking a depth offensive lineman is drafting out of luxury. Yeah. We don't have other holes to fill. We can add depth. Again, if he is a day one right guard starter, if that's the decision how he goes, I don't know what Cam Jurgens here for this year then, but like that's neither here nor there. But if that's it, now I kind of understand the pick. He's a day one starter. Maybe he is the best guard in the draft. That's great. That's all well and good. I'll apologize in a few months.
And we'll question the Cam Jurgens pick maybe then. Maybe it's not this pick.
Exactly. Because what is he here for? But that's drafting out of luxury. That's not being irresponsible with the pick. That's what I'm not comprehending with some of these, banging the drum, kicking down the door for an offensive lineman selection here.
And just like a stone cold no to certain, would you rather take like a lesser offensive line? So because a lot of the talk now is that the Eagles are going to have to trade up to get the tackle from Ohio
I'm out.
State.
I'm out. Listen,
right? Like you
trade up to do that
up to get them. So
at
this point, once you get to the 10th pick, say both of them are gone, right? Are you now taking the third best offensive lineman over Bijan Robinson? Are you now taking the third best offensive lineman over this next edge rusher? Right. Like that's what you have to ask yourself in these situations, because now at this point it's looking like everybody that the Eagles are looking at are going ahead of the Eagles picks, right?
Yeah.
So it's something.
I do find it interesting when the report came out today that there's the two guards that the Eagles could potentially be going after. Skoronski and Paris Johnson, right? Yeah. That they might have to move up. And I'm like, there's only 9 picks ahead of the Eagles. There's going to be at least 2 quarterbacks selected, if not 3 selected.
Now the Tennessee,
possibly 4.
Yeah, now the Tennessee
selected. You're talking about both of those being gone. You are talking about Jalen Carter. You're talking about Will Anderson, who we're not even speaking about because we don't think it's possible at all unless they moved up to 3rd.
Yeah.
But how many guys do you think are getting drafted within those 9 picks for the board to not fall any which way for the Eagles tonight? Then you had the corner who Vince brought up to us the other day. Yeah. If he slips, not that I would love that pick, but if he's the best corner in the draft, you know what I mean? So it's going to be very interesting to see how aggressive Howie is tonight and what they decide to do. Obviously, I told you before the show, Jordan Schultz tweeting out, keep an eye on the Eagles tonight with the eyeball emojis. And it's what does that
movement?
What does that mean? Right. Because that's not an offensive lineman tweet. If there's smoke to that report, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's tweeting now, keep an eye out for the Eagles tonight. And then they, move up to 8 and draft the right guard. That's not happening.
Yeah, it would make no sense, man. I'm telling you. And I'm just looking at the rest of these teams in front of the Eagles, man. And it's just, it would honestly be a malpractice from a perspective of an Eagles fan that has watched Howie Roseman and the Eagles organization build from the trenches out. Right. So we do that, and we have done that, and we have drafted that way for years on years on years, which is why our trenches are so good. Our defensive line, our offensive line is so good. It was one of the best, if not the best in the league on both sides last season. Why would these tackles fall if they're the 2 best offensive line? You're telling me the Bears don't need an offensive tackle?
That's what I'm talking about, man.
The Falcons don't need an offensive tackle. Right. The Raiders don't need an offensive tackle. The Lions. I mean, down the line, the Seattle Seahawks, the Colts. You're telling me any of these teams that are not getting a quarterback or one of the premier defensive players don't need an offensive lineman? That's the other part that I don't understand. But to that point, I mean, there are organizations out there that are being ran incorrectly, and from my perspective, right?
Absolutely.
If you're not doing it that way,
and that's a glowing example. That's what I would argue, right? Why is it that it would? Let's just take Bijan Robinson for example, right? Why is it that if the Eagles select him at 10, it's the incorrect pick, it's the irresponsible pick, but there's people advocating, not fans, there's media advocating for the talent that he is, that a team like the Atlanta Falcons should select Bijan Robinson inside the top 10. How is that the smart pick?
Yeah, how
is the New York Giants selecting Saquon Barkley at that time in that situation that their franchise was in the smart pick? They were going to turn it around. But you have an Eagles team that, like, if you plug in that level of talent,
right
now that running back can actually ascend and help a team win. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and see, I think that's ultimately what's gonna cost the Eagles Bijan Robinson. It's not gonna be the Eagles not selecting him or anything like that. I think it's just coming from the perspective from at the beginning of this draft process, once the NFL season ended, we were talking about Bijan Robinson 14 to 20, right? We could trade back and get
round of the first.
And now it's all of a sudden we're talking about Bijan Robinson at number 8, right? Now you have to trade up to get that's not going to happen, right?
No.
So I think that's ultimately going to be what gets in the way. Whether the Eagles were going to try to draft Bijan Robinson or not, I do think the Falcons, and like, what the hell are you doing? They're going to do it, and they're going to draft him, right? There's a reason this smoke is coming out about the Falcons, and now that pick, you look around all the mock drafts, it seems that number 8 is locked in with Bijan Robinson. So that's ultimately what would worry me if you are on the Bijan train. But the Falcons, man, you look at their last, 3, well, if they do this year, their last 3 first-round picks, you had Drake London last year, who was, a top 10, top 15 pick wide receiver. You had the year before that, you had Kyle Pitts, a top 5 pick of a tight end, right, for the Atlanta Falcons. 2 skill position players, and now you're going to go and get Bijan Robinson. Mind you, they had Tyler Algier, who went over 1,000 yards as a rookie rusher, and they have Cordell Patterson. Why are you doing it? I don't know why they would do it. I don't know why they wouldn't invest in their trenches. So while we sit here and talk about offensive linemen going to the Eagles, if other teams were ran correctly, those offensive linemen wouldn't even get to the Eagles.
So before we get Hunter and D-Rab in here, because they're about to make it spicy, Scotty. Elliott Short-Parks tweeted 15 minutes ago. Interesting, there is a report the Eagles have discussed a deal with the Falcons about number 8, and the number 1 player the mocks are insisting the Falcons will take is Bijan Robinson, despite it making no sense for them to draft him.
Well, I'm glad Elliott Short-Parks said the end part. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, listen, I haven't seen the report. Like, I don't know where he got that report from, but if there is a report that they are going to move up in front of Atlanta, I don't know. Let me ask you this. Bring these 2 in. Bring the 2 knuckleheads in. Let's get their thoughts on everything. D-Rob's in his car because his kid's not going to bed yet because it's still light out.
Oh, he's going to bed.
he's going to bed. It's that easy.
It's night time. It's draft time. All right. So if that report is true, there's no reason we would be going there if it wasn't for Bijan.
Right.
And they might have been blowing smoke just because they knew we wanted him too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They could have been lying the whole time about even wanting to take him just so that they could get us to give a little extra something.
It would make no sense that they want him.
I
don't know.
I will say Bijan's mom is wearing a very close to midnight
very
green dress
green.
right now.
And Howie, I know
And
everybody's like thinking like Howie just won't do it. Howie won't draft a running back. And there's just something about Howie where this would be such like a splashy pick that would like get him in the graces of the casual fan. Like literally, it is a casual fan that would want the running back. Mind you, I'm not a casual fan. I want Bijan Robinson as well. But what I'm saying is the casual fan can get behind that, which makes me think Howie Roseman might be a little inclined to you don't always abide to your fans. You don't. But I think when he has a chance to and he also agrees, he embraces that full on. And we could see a big cheesy smile out of Howie tonight.
We got a no Bijan pick at 10 here. Hunter, what's Howie Roseman doing tonight?
Hey, you know what? I think all y'all are thinking about Bijan, but I think that's completely wrong. I think you guys are going to get probably go for Jalen Carter, and then honestly probably wait until your last pick if you still have that, and probably wait. And if Jahmyr Gibbs is on the board for Alabama, that's who I would go with. He's a stud.
Now that's
a
probably the
monster
ideal
night,
draft.
yeah.
I know I'm on board with Bijan, but Jalen Carter is the number one pick for me. And then you tag that up with Jahmyr Gibbs at the end of the first round, early second round. That's the dream situation.
And then, like, also, too, if you guys even wait, too, I know you guys don't want it. You guys want some flash up there, too. But even, like, you got some O-line. You have, like, what's his name? Skoronski. Whatever his name is. Like, if you guys can get him, too, I know you guys don't want that. I mean, you guys are O-line U for a reason, basically.
I know.
But it's not that I don't
want
want
it.
it.
It would take me a night to get over.
I can't go like watch highlights tonight and get excited.
yeah.
I was telling Dylan before we hopped on here, man. It's like I get like this every year where like we get up to the draft and it's just like the fan in me. It's the fan in me. I want like that splash like player. It's almost a little immature, but I don't think that this is the case with Bijan Robinson. I'll be honest there, but I think that is a good point there with Hunter saying that Jalen Carter is priority one. He is the prize.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We're viewing him as priority number one because we probably don't view the other as even in the same area code. Is there a shot Will Anderson, like Howie tries to move all the way up for Will Anderson? Like, because like you would assume Will Anderson has to go before Jalen Carter as an Eagle for the Eagles.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so as well.
This is my point about the offensive lineman. It's what you did the last 2 years, and that was the second round. Like, you can still, like, if you want an offensive lineman that bad, you can take one at 30, bro. You can take one at 30.
And this is my thing with that. Like, Howie has obviously had a couple instances where he's really, like, let us down. The Reagor pick, that Stego Whiteside pick. I used to argue this time that I think majority of his picks are good picks, and he does get a lot of, like, diamonds in the rough and stuff like that. To where, like, I do trust him. If you look at, like, our starting lineup in the Chiefs starting lineup in the Super Bowl, A.J. Brown was our only starter that we didn't draft. You know, like, he knows how to put together a team. Like, I do trust him, but, like, I never thought I would be a little nervous or a little, like eerie about the draft and having 2 first-round picks, having a 10th pick, just because you know deep down you could make a mistake. Like,
you can overthink it, man.
I mean,
you can overthink it.
I think that's interesting because – you're right. Like Howie has had a pretty decent track record, and we like to get on him for the one miss here and the one miss there, even though they're really bad misses. But like, the problem is like, is that because we won? We were winning last year. Like 2 years ago, we didn't trust Howie heading into draft night. Did Scotty? Were you trusting Howie heading into last year's draft?
I think it's just based off his last few drafts. You know, you look at back to the Goddard draft. I mean, he nailed that draft. There's the draft after that was Goddard was right after the Super Bowl, so that was 18. I'm trying to think back to 19. I'm not going to waste my time with that. I guess you mix Jalen Hurts in there with the second round pick, right? You trust him with that.
Mailata with the 7th.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
He said Mailata with the 7th.
Oh yeah, so there's gems throughout time, but I think just his recent stretch of like hitting all of them, all the nails on the head recently, I think that's what
hitting early too, like because that's what sticks out to you. Like, it's cool to have a Jordan Mailata, it's cool to have those undrafted guys or 6th or 7th round draft picks come in and click, but it's like when you do miss early and you do miss with a Jalen Reagor pick, and you do miss with the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside pick in the second round. You do miss with all of those guys. That's what sticks out. If Hunter's still in here, is Hunter a Cowboys fan or is he a Colts fan? He's a Cowboys fan. That's fantastic. I want to get his on what the Cowboys do tonight. There he is.
What pick do they have?
Don't
26.
I can't even hear him. You know what that is? That's Dallas Cowboy Wi-Fi. That's what it is.
Yeah, bro.
We ain't got him. Once I see him, once I see his face pop up, we'll bring him back in here.
Yeah, it's probably a connection thing.
But yeah, I'm assuming he meant offensively on the line, Jalen Hurts. See, like that's the other argument when it does come to an offensive lineman to one of those guards tonight. Like you do have to take into account the $255 million man, and you're protecting your investment and everything like that. Like it's just such a struggle with. You're not going to be in this position again, man. You are not going to be in this position again.
Yeah, you're not going to have the number 10 again. That's what's hard about it because it's like, man, I do believe we could develop like lower like later round, not even later round, but like later in the draft players into stars, but we're not going to have a 10th round pick for a while. And that's why I think I'd be comfortable with Bijan, because I just think you really can't go wrong with it unless he gets injured or just somehow sucks, which doesn't look like it'll happen.
Nah.
Yeah. So that's why it's a safe pick. As weird as it
know
sounds.
what? People are so against it because there's these, I don't want to call them nerds, but it makes me really want to call them nerds. There's these people out here that are under like this idea that this top 10 pick needs to be here for the next 15 years. When 90% of the NFL's lifespan, running back or not, just aren't around for that long. Like you get lucky with a Lane, with a Kelsey in your trenches, right? With a Fletch in your trenches for this long. So like the argument is like basically, well, what we're going to take Bijan just for this 4 or 5 year window? Hell yes, I'm going to take him on this 4 year window. Like that's half a decade, bro.
He gives
half
us
a decade on that talent with a rookie deal.
Yep, exactly. He gives us a chance to win it every year.
Yeah.
You got all the other pieces. Like most of our pieces are there for the next 4 or 5 years. That matter.
100%.
I think the main thing for me with the offensive lineman, if you have significant doubt in Cam Jurgens playing guard, right? If they don't think that he can move over to guard and play that position until Kelsey is out, that's fine then, right? And maybe that comes out after they draft the player, and then that's just what it is. But from my understanding, Cam Jurgens is a really solid player. So that's where the other side of the confusion comes in, is like, okay, so we draft this surefire top 10 offensive lineman that's going to start, right? What about Cam Jurgens, who's already been sitting there for a season? Mind you, I get it, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. But are we sure Jason Kelsey's going to retire after next year? Like, are we sure? Like, these are the things that I'm asking myself. So it's not that picking an offensive lineman, it's not going to make me question the pick this season or this draft. It's going to make me question the Cam Jurgens pick. And that's what I'm worried about here. Why all this smoke is coming out about.
Well, I would even
look at the right guard as a whole.
Go ahead, D-Rab.
All right, thank you. I was just gonna say, I think a piece of it comes from because, like, okay, say he does sit another year, like they're expecting this to be Jason's last year,
right?
So it's like maybe it's like they look at it like, okay, we have this chance to get another foundational piece. The trenches are where we've done really good, and they look at it like we would rather Cam Jurgens sit here and really just learn this position and have full focus on being that backup center and being ready to go if God forbid something were to happen, you know,
that's fair. It is fair.
Like,
yeah.
And I don't think that's like enough of a reason that you need to draft another lineman, but I could see it. I could see them saying like, okay, Lane's gone in a couple years, like
top 10 pick.
Kelsey's gone in the next
exactly, bro. And I would throw this out as well. Like you look into next season, right? And let's say Kelsey retires after the season's over. Jurgens is his replacement at center, and you have a gaping hole at right guard, and you need to fill right guard. We have 9,000 picks next year. If there is a guard or two inside the top 15 that you want, you're telling me this magical magician of a man and Howie Roseman can't package any of the 1,800 picks we have and move up and get that replacement then? Hunter, I'm gonna switch topics for a second. What's Dallas doing tonight, bro?
Dude, you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna sit back and wait until the 26th pick, and then we're gonna literally draft probably the best player on the board for us. That's probably what we're going to do. And hopefully, if I'm Dallas, though, I know they're probably going to end up going for probably like a tight end, maybe, if that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But my thing is, man, you can wait and get a tight end later as well. Like, especially when you got Hendershot playing behind him. He played very well last year coming in. And but if I'm them, I'm waiting to see who's on the board. And if Gibbs is on the board and I'm the Dallas Cowboys, that's who I'm taking. Because
that would make sense.
Because that guy's a dog, and honestly, I hide him. I hold him up there just like I do Bijan. So like,
he's tough, man.
If he's
what do you view as your guy's biggest hole, or like position wise?
Quarterback.
I love it.
Quarterback, to be honest with you, but we ain't trading up to go get no Bryce Young or nothing like that. So.
Well, I mean, what if you guys did try to leapfrog us? You know, like there's all this talk about how the Eagles have stuff in the works with Atlanta. Maybe you work out the number 7 spot and try to leapfrog us for Bijan. You never know. We leapfrogged y'all for Dallas Goedert.
That's the only move I think the Cowboys would be willing to make is jump up because Cowboys seen what Ezekiel Elliott did as a rookie. So I feel like the Cowboys would be willing to take that leap on a running back when you could like take the chance. But I really think, but then again, I don't really know. I think I like the I would like to work on the defense a little bit because, like, even with our offense, it's pretty. I'm happy with our offense, honestly. Just the QB play for real. I want to keep that defense because, like, literally everybody's stacking up their defense and play against our offenses in the NFC East now. You're going.
You guys leaked us. You guys leaked us,
Hooker,
didn't you? They leaped over us for CD a couple years ago, didn't they?
I don't know if it was like directly in front of us.
But I
think ahead of us. Yeah.
No, but they took them and we wanted them. And
you guys were going to
It was the regular year.
Yeah. We took them and you guys were going to get them.
Too bad there wasn't another wide receiver sitting right there, even with CeeDee Lamb gone. But
it was just Justin Jefferson. It was just fucking the best receiver in the league.
The best receiver in the whole draft.
Just a slot receiver. Just a slot guy.
Just a slot.
But what was I going to say? That's another thing that's rubbed me wrong, dude, with all this, like, Eagle smoke, right? It's like Bijan Robinson has basically come out and campaigned for the fact that he wants to play here. You have Jalen Carter talking about how good his visit was with the Eagles and the staff and how he doesn't see himself getting past 10 if he falls there. You have other guys, these top talents, campaigning to actually play here. And then you got these nerds on Twitter that want to tell me about go drafting Peter Skoronski. Peter Skoronski said he wants to play here. No,
Paris Johnson did. Paris Johnson said he would love to play with those legends in the locker room and learn from them.
I'd give up a first and a comp pick next year if we could go up and get Jalen and Bijan somehow.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't think Howie would even do it just because he'd be like, nah, that first next year though.
So, Scotty, there was this comment here, and obviously I know before we went live, you were like, man, as long as they don't trade back, right? Like, don't trade back. But like, what if the board doesn't fall Bijan's way? What if Atlanta doesn't take him, and he kind of falls into that mid-teen round? This is something I would most definitely think about. Now, obviously, you would have to have your mind made up by, it's time the Eagles are on the clock. But like, this is probably something you would do, right? Yeah. If you're willing to take him at 10, like you would, like you're obviously willing to trade back.
If I knew, right? Like, so you would have to look at the teams behind us, and it's like, where are you trading back to? What did he say? He didn't give a specific pick.
Yeah, no, he said just a second or third.
I feel like if he falls to 10, if Bijan is your guy, if that's who you want, I feel like you just take him at 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I would trust.
You don't risk it. You don't risk
if that is the guy that you're taking with your first round pick, your first round pick. If he falls that far, I don't know. Howie would know a little bit more into that if we can do that.
Far. What I think he's saying is you trade from 10 to, let's say, like 14 or 15 because the team wants to move up to 10. You select him 14th or 15th. What's up, buddy? Can you say buddy? Eagles? E-A. Yeah, there you go. Look, you got that kid out of there. You take him at 14 or 15, and then you have the second or third that you acquired via this trade to take that offensive lineman. You would still have the 30th. So it's going to be interesting. Look, we're talking all about 10, and obviously, like, that's what you care about, right? No one's really focused on the 30th. But, like, is there a shot they still pick a 30 tonight? Is there a shot how he trades up from 30? We're sitting here. This is prime position to trade back into the second round. What if the board falls a certain way, and it's at 24, 25, and Howie goes, let me package this 30th and a 4th next year or a 3rd next year and slide up for whatever it would be. I don't know.
People were ready to pick Nakobe Dean with a first last year.
Yeah.
So guys are going to drop. You know, we think we know everything, but there's guys that other teams value a lot higher than everyone else. You know?
Tyree Wilson, the edge.
There's a lot of QBs going this year.
Tyree Wilson, the edge out of Texas Tech, I believe. He's already had some medical concerns be leaked out to where significant medical concerns. And they were talking about this guy as like a top 5, top 8 pick in the draft. So it's already begun. I don't even know if we've seen the look of it yet,
if Bo Callahan can fall, anybody can fall.
Yep. Facts though.
Just had to watch that movie before we came on here.
No, man, because I'm just interested. So there's been a lot of talk about Brian Branch, the safety out of Alabama. What are your thoughts there? I know we're not gonna. It's not a guy that we would take at 10. That's a guy that you
but like that. That's
that's
the perfect guy to throw in for my scenario of moving up a little
up.
bit for 30. Right? If he's there at 25, 26.
Yeah.
So that's my question for y'all is like, so if you guys don't get Jalen Carter or like Robinson, like who or Skorowski, like who do you guys as Eagles fans want? Like who's that guy?
Man, if I'm being honest with you, right? If they don't move up and they somehow it's not Carter, it's they have no shot of moving up to get Will Anderson. It's not Bijan. If I'm being 110% honest, I'm most likely just okay with what happens, right? They take Nolan Smith. Like, dude, I feel like Nolan Smith at 10 is kind of a reach, man. I want no parts of Lucas Van Ness, and you know my thoughts on offensive line, and it's not where I would be in love with. So, like, I would kind of just be
it's
okay.
A responsible fan right there.
Yeah.
No, I feel you, man. I think for me, if it wasn't Bijan Robinson, if it's not Jalen Carter, if it's not the offensive lineman falling, because I do think if one of those two aren't there, there's a strong chance that we're taking one of those offensive linemen.
I can see us picking him over Bijan even.
Yeah, I can see it, man. I can see it, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if I'm being 110% honest, I don't think Bijan's the pick. It's just it's just my biggest kind of hope.
I agree, but I mean, if he's on the board, it's like, how can you not pick up?
I will be putting all my vibes towards that and hoping Howie just feels it. And it's just like, yes, let's do it.
But if he's not there, it's like at that point, you want Nolan Smith. Do you just trade back? I mean, I would be fine with that. Like,
or you get Bijan, and then you're like, you spark another fire in like guys like Jason Kelsey, and then you have him for another year.
Yeah,
I'm gonna drop the link to join for anybody that wants to join.
Yeah, I was gonna say Philly Irish. I have it posted on my Twitter. I retweeted the link to the YouTube show, but then there's a StreamYard link that's also
let us know let us know if that works. Pop in for a minute and give us your prediction for tonight,
But
man.
JSN,
I missed this comment.
Wide receiver. Would we be open to a wide receiver at all with this pick? Or trading back, maybe that's what you do for a pick like that.
It's just like I couldn't imagine using a 10 for our freaking third receiver.
For a third wide receiver, right?
Like, I just don't see
I don't know.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Tough. Let's bring Drew in. Drew, what's going on, man?
What's Drew think?
I'm getting ready to watch this draft right now. There's a lot of things you could do with the 10th pick.
There we go.
You can move up, maybe 3 picks, and maybe Jalen Carter will be there at 7. I would maybe trade your 10th pick, you move up to 7, and trade the 64th pick and a third next year to move up.
Yeah.
Or you can move back a couple spots and get more draft capital. But I think if you're trading the 10th pick to move down, you're trading for a player also.
Yep.
Because it's a top 10 pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
You're already in the top 10. If you're moving down, he better be a difference maker.
Yeah.
And like the only players I think the Eagles will go for is maybe Buda Baker or White from Tampa Bay.
Buda Baker.
I think you can get Baker with the 30th pick and something else.
Yeah.
So,
You could probably get Buda with less than the 30th because if he wants a contract extension, I think Arizona kind of realizes like you're not getting a first, even though a borderline first or second is something I would probably do. Drew, one of the things we kind of started the show off with was offensive lineman, right? Then there's 2 names. What are your thoughts, man? Do you want any parts of an offensive lineman, or do you want the defensive lineman? Do you want a Bijan Robinson? Do you stay away from an O lineman tonight?
You don't draft an O lineman until you get to like the 3rd or maybe later rounds because you already got a nice built offensive line for the future.
Yep.
And next year's class might be a better class for offensive linemen.
That's a great point as well, man.
But when you're drafting with Bijan Robinson at 10, you're drafting somebody at 10 that you're going to extend.
Correct.
For a second contract.
Yeah.
But tell you the truth, he may be that pick that you may want to take because he may be the steal of the draft because of everything he can do.
Yeah.
So, but
he's definitely an upgrade from Miles.
Yeah, he is. He's a huge upgrade because he can read. He can read the blitz. He can block the blitz better than Myers. He's a like.
He's essentially a receiver as well.
Yeah, he's a better receiver by a mile.
He's built to be beside Hurts, man.
He's better than every running back you have right now.
Yeah, by a mile, like by a freaking mile, man. There are not many running backs are looked at in this light of is this guy really worth a top 10 kind of pick? And I know in recent history you've had your CMCs, your Saquon Barkley's, your Ezekiel Elliott's, but they don't look at it. Drew, before we get you out of here, man, give us your official prediction. Who are the Philadelphia Eagles selecting with the 10th overall pick tonight?
They're trading down to Tampa Bay, Devin White from the linebacker, and getting Bijan Robinson.
Shit! Yeah,
that is my favorite prediction of the night so far, man. It's not one that I've thought about. Absolutely, man. And you
game changers in one move,
man.
Guys, and the 30th going Branch.
Brian Branch?
Brian Branch is going to be.
If you're not getting Buddha, if you have no plans of getting involved in the Buddha stakes, then I'm with Brian Branch.
I love it, man. Drew, appreciate you for coming on, dude.
See you later.
Enjoy the draft.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hell yeah.
We
I
got
like that. You get me hyped up.
Yeah, dude. He laid that out so swiftly, and I that never even crossed my mind.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
I don't think it happens, but it's that is.
I don't know what you would have to.
You can't give that anything else than an A plus.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But
if anything like that happens,
man. If you want to build in the trenches, you could start next year, man. Not with the 10th pick. Start somewhere else.
How do we
give
feel
some of
about
these
the
young bucks a chance? Give Milton Williams a chance to step up this year. Give let Sweat play. Let Graham have his final year.
What's up, man?
What up, Ken?
Yo, what's up, man?
Is that a Jalen jersey?
Absolutely not.
Almost. Close.
Absolutely not.
Almost.
Let me guess, fellow Cowboy fan.
Yep, yes, sir. It's Hunter's older brother.
Oh, you're his older brother. What's up, man? Hunter wants a new QB. Who do you want?
I want an offensive lineman.
See?
Oh, so he's a smart guy, man.
He's different from us.
Yeah,
different from Hunter, that's for sure.
Hey, but the Cowboys can use some offensive linemen, man. They had a lot of turnover in that area lately. So
right, you went from having a really great offensive lineman.
Who are the Eagles taking tonight?
And the 26th pick is a lot different than the 10th as well. That's what I would say about that as well, man.
Yeah.
Scotty, you said who are we picking tonight?
Man, I mean, I put it this way. Jalen Carter is my number one target tonight. I just don't know how realistic that is. It sounds like Seattle's going to take him at 5, and it's going to be impossible to get ahead of 5, right?
Seattle wants
that's quarterback territory. So that would cost a fortune. So I don't know how realistic Jalen Carter is. If he falls past 5, that's where it gets real for Jalen Carter and the Philadelphia Eagles. No Jalen Carter. I'm probably gonna go Bijan Robinson if I'm being completely honest. If they go a different route, I'm not gonna be angry about it. If they ultimately go the offensive lineman route, I'm gonna do what Dylan did earlier today when he was texting me, and I'm gonna talk myself off the ledge with the offensive lineman because there is a decent chance that it's gonna happen. The more we're talking about it, the more I feel it in my bones.
We're gonna talk ourselves off the ledge regardless because a few short years ago, before Jalen Hurts ever turned himself into the $255 million man, before Jalen Reagor became a declared bust, I talked myself into both of their draft picks. I talked myself into all the rumors that Jalen Hurts was going to be used in a Wildcat package and how that could potentially work that season. I talked myself into everything. So you're going to do it regardless. But I want to ask Hunter because D-Rap brought up a very good point. As an opposing fan, man, be 100% honest. Who do you not want the Eagles to draft? Who do you, when you look at this Eagles team and you look at us in your division and you would say, this person scares me the most on this team. Who is it?
Shit, I'm definitely gonna go with probably Jalen Carter. I'd say I'd say I hope you guys don't get him, honestly, because
He's a terrorizer.
He's a monster. Yeah.
Right.
I
More
mean,
problems
you guys
more
see,
problems for
like-
that quarterback you don't like already.
yeah, you guys see firsthand like how crucial a pass rush is. That shit gets you to the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And
Straight up.
Yeah, it'll lose you a Super Bowl too if the turf sucks. Sorry.
Yeah. But hey, look, you speak of turf, you speak of see the Luke Van Ness. Is that hold on, is he saying that's who are you saying that's who you want,
He's saying
I don't want
Carter's who
you
we
guys
wouldn't
to
want
get
us
him.
have.
I'd rather have you guys take a chance on like a running back, because a running back's a hit or miss in today's league.
Yeah.
So, and you see like Zeke, like we're lucky we got Zeke for the years that we had him, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Because
He is an outlier kind of for being able to produce for so long.
facts.
I would say, like, based on what I've heard and what I've researched, trust me, I'm not a draft expert. I don't, I'll speak for myself there. I just don't get into all the speculation. I don't see the point in it. I'll learn about the player when they get on to the birds, and I'll make all my speculation and all that stuff beforehand. Okay, so hey, I got you. That's what I was asking, because the consensus from the Eagles community on Twitter, at least, is that this is the worst case scenario. If the Eagles reach and take a guy like Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa, the edge rusher. So that's where I'm at. That would be the one way the Eagles can disappoint me, and I'll be in a bad mood maybe.
I agree. So, 30 minutes ago, former Eagle CEO Joe Banner tweeted, if the Eagles don't trade up tonight, it won't be because they didn't try. And then Ari, I do not know how to pronounce his last name, Mirov.
Yeah, he's like the UFC guy, right?
Quote tweeted it, yeah. Hashtag Eagles are working the phones, ...
Hey, that doesn't surprise me.
If they move up and select that offensive lineman, then I'm going to be a little pissed.
I just saw a clip of a former GM, and he was talking about he was having an interview with fucking Long, and he was sitting there and he was He's like, what GM did you really? If you saw their number, it just made you question it. And he was like, Howie Roseman. He was like, this guy, in the offseason is sitting there. We got to trade this year, man. We got to get a trade. He was like, you had to have your guard up at all times, because he'll slip something in and it'll sound good, but he'll be the one winning every trade kind of thing. I'm just like, that's Howie, man. He's gonna surprise us. It wouldn't surprise me if we got Devin White or Budda Baker or Derrick Henry or someone crazy tonight. Just because I know he can do it. I don't expect it, but I know it's very possible with that, man. I love him as our GM.
22 minutes ago, Jordan Schultz tweeted, several teams are discussing moving up as high as 3 to potentially draft Georgia D tackle Jalen Carter.
Yeah,
that has to be the Eagles, right?
He said a couple teams, but do you find that? I mean, I guess that would almost solidify Will Anderson's going to the Texans at that point.
I don't find that. I don't find that. If someone knows something and Will Anderson's going faster too,
yeah.
I mean,
well, that's the big
surprising.
That's the big question mark right now. Is Houston going to take CJ Stroud? Are they going to take a quarterback, Will Levis? Or who are they going to take? Or are they going to take that first defensive domino, right? Which would be Will Anderson at that point.
I think they need a quarterback, though, man.
Dude,
they've been without one for so long, and now all the teams almost have a quarterback. Not too many teams really need one bad.
Yeah,
there's enough guys.
I don't know, man. If you look at the coaching hire.
Yeah, but do you really want to take do you want to take that gamble on CJ Stroud?
Exactly.
Right.
That's the problem. Bryce Young has now become the solidified one, right? And it's people don't trust Will Levis. I probably wouldn't trust Will Levis.
I wouldn't trust him either.
You're not taking the kid from Florida that high.
Richardson.
Right.
Man, he's nice, though.
He is, but are you taking him second overall? Probably not.
Right.
You trade back. That's the thing, though. Some of these teams that maybe thought that they wanted a guy, and they're looking at all these teams calling now, like the Eagles, like whoever else. Who knows, Hunter? It could be the Cowboys. Maybe they're trying to make a splash.
Yeah.
Get Jalen Carter.
The third. So okay.
I don't think.
Jerry's up in his.
Now
Jerry's up in his box eating a bowl of ramen. He's just chilling. He ain't worried.
Jerry Jones ain't seen a bowl of ramen since 1918. He ain't eating no ramen, goddamn noodles.
He eats no seasoned white meat chicken.
All right, man. Like, see, this is what I can't do, man. Joe Castro, shout out to Joe. At Eagles going to stress us out if what I'm hearing is true. Might be a wild day for Philly with the eyeball emojis, and it's a gif of Howie smiling and clapping his hands.
So,
Well, what does stress us out mean, though?
Man, you know what it is? You know what it could be is, and I want to know if the Cardinals and Titans trade, like, how close is that to get it done, right?
Well, it has nothing to do with DeAndre Hopkins anymore. That part's
okay.
out.
So that's been separated. Okay, so that's interesting because then when you start talking about the third pick, you start talking about the Cardinals, you have to start talking about Budda Baker.
Right.
And moving up to 3 and getting Budda Baker in the same deal and getting Jalen Carter with Budda Baker. Right? Like,
sure, but that seems like too good to be true, though, right? Because at that point, what are the Eagles giving up? Because now you're talking like, I mean, I'm giving up whatever that would possibly take, but like, you know what I mean? Like that would just seem like
first this year, maybe
that would seem like too crazy of
maybe your first
what are
next
the Eagles?
year.
What are the Eagles willing to trade for Derrick Henry? That's the possibility that still might happen.
I don't think you have to give up more than like a fourth round pick for him, honestly.
Yeah. Say that again. You cut out. What was that?
A third or a fourth?
For a running back, he's what?
It's gonna come with a paycheck. It's gonna come with his longevity, like the fact that he's already old. Like,
yeah.
It's just the idea, bro. Like we're sitting here like so obsessed with the idea of Bijan in this backfield, and it's like an unknown. Like you're talking about the king, bro. Like you're talking about that dude behind this offensive line.
Yeah, that's
next to Jalen. Like that's crazy. But unfortunately, I did see like after that initial report came out, which is weird because like the dude shares the same agency or whatever, the same agent. I did see that like apparently like none of that has anything to it, but you never know who's lying and posturing.
Yeah, of course.
So
I mean, Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, these guys. There's a ton of running backs out there available as well.
Yeah,
trade. So
yeah,
it is crazy.
But none of them have rookie contracts. That's the only thing that attracts me to the Bijan pick, honestly.
Yeah, I feel that.
Exactly.
I feel that.
Bijan or Gibbs, I'd be happy with either one. But I'm only happy with Gibbs if we do trade up and get like Jalen Carter or something. If it's an iffy 10 pick, I don't want to have an iffy 10 pick. I want that to be the sure pick.
Because then you're going to be watching Gibbs highlights instead of the number 10th pick.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
like, come on, like
look,
I've already watched his highlights.
So what if this happens? What if it gets down to, let's say Jalen Carter goes to the Seahawks, Bijan to the Falcons, the offensive linemen, they go in the top 9 picks as well, right? Paris Johnson and Peter aren't there. What if the best corner is available is there and it's just waiting for you?
Porter.
Like, do you just take the best corner available? Now you have your replacement for Blair Bradbury for the future.
So what if you? I think one of the best picks I said to you guys earlier in the year. I said Porter, dude. If he can fall back and no one takes him, because a lot of people his name started to squeak of the back of the pack, not the back of the pack, but the guys started to get ahead of him,
moving into 3 or 4 territory.
And dude, I'm telling you right now that if someone gets that Porter, dude, Porter's going to be a problem.
Yeah,
and he's going to be a guy that's going to be sneaking back.
He's a PA boy too.
Yeah, he is a PA boy.
It is interesting, Scotty, because it's like it's one of those things like where you like. I guess I would be a hypocrite to say I would like it if I'm against the offensive line pick because it's the same thing. It's a luxury pick. It's not a day one starter pick, but so I don't know, but I would say to Hunter's point, like what if like Joey Porter is like the 30th pick? You know what I mean?
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
And Deontay Banks out of Maryland.
That's more reasonable to happen.
Yeah.
The thing is with that too, it's like we got 3 years each with Slay and Bradbury. Like in 3 years, we'll be replacing at least one of them. You know, maybe one takes a veteran contract and like takes a little less, but you could lose both of them. So to have someone who just learned from 2 of the best, like in today's game,
and how lucky
be against it. I would be against it.
The thing that I keep going back to is you look at Slay, who's over 30. Bradbury, how old is Bradbury?
I think he's about the same, right?
He's under 29, 30.
They were in the same draft class.
In that area, right? So you look at both of these guys. Cool. How lucky was it that both of these guys stayed healthy all season last season, right? So like that I look at, man, and I don't know. I guess you could argue like who's more likely to get injured, an offensive lineman or a defensive back. I don't know.
He's 29.
Toss-up at that
Our
point.
defensive backs used to I feel like we're used to them kind of dropping like flies over the last couple of seasons.
Right. We got really lucky last season. So it's like you have your outside corner replacement. That way you don't got to move Avonte Maddox around. None of that.
My big thing with the Eagles is I just hope that what we saw last year was actually a result of the new medical staff and the new coaching and what they did, because they had a whole process that no other teams were doing. Like you practice 2 days and you have one off because it minimizes the small tears that turn into big tears and big injuries and shit. So it's like, I mean, last year we went into the Super Bowl, we're completely healthy, right? Like by then we were actually completely healthy.
I believe so.
All starters for sure.
Sweat and Quinn and everyone came back during the playoffs and shit. So,
we had all our starters for sure. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I mean. Like all the starters were there. And,
I'm pretty sure we might have been fully healthy. You might not be wrong there. I'm not gonna hold that.
That's a testament of the new medical staff and stuff like that. Then, I trust them based on what we saw last year compared to every year after the Super Bowl win. Literally every year after that, we thought we had a competitive team, and the only reason they weren't is injury. We lost all the big free agents. Like we were cooking Howie the one year, but he brought in Deshaun Jackson and Malik, and freaking
I know you're talking Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, and that was the same year he brought in Hargrave too, wasn't it?
Hargrave, yeah, free agent.
So it's like and a lot of these guys got hurt that year. I'm pretty sure even Hargrave was hurt that year. So it's like that was a big thing that we were holding against Howie, but I don't know. Those couple years after the Super Bowl, we were just really unlucky.
Yeah, I agree, man. I and the thing with I was looking at this Brian Branch situation and where he's like listed as far as prospects. I guess my thing with that is like if you're in a situation where you can get Brian Branch with that 30th pick, at that point with the 30th pick, do you not just trade that for Budda Baker, who is a starting Pro Bowl caliber, all pro caliber safety?
It's what I said to you the other day, man. That is
like once you get to the 30th pick territory, like don't you just go with Budda Baker if that's available?
That's what I'm saying. Like you can love all the upside you want. At the end of the day, a draft pick is exactly that. It's a risk. It's an unknown, and it's all projections and trajectory, right? It's when you look at Budda Baker. Now, if Budda Baker was 31 years old, I would say no. I'm drafting the kid. The 21-year-old, the 22-year-old. Budda Baker's, what did we say, Scotty? 27 years old.
27. Yeah, that's max.
In the Pro Bowl every year of his career outside the first season. Like, I'm probably going with that surefire.
And he's a leader. He comes in. He's an immediate leader in the roster. Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like that's why when we were talking about like the Derrick Henry thing versus a running back. Now, maybe when you look at like a Bijan type, you might say, okay, I might take the flyer on this projected player. But when you get into anything further than that, it's like, no, you probably take the proven
Derrick Henry just as a decoy, like literally, alone.
I would trade the 30th pick for Devin White or Budda Baker, either one. But I think the main thing it comes down to is how does that affect our cap situation? Because you're going to have to extend either one. Both of them because they want extensions. And we did that with AJ. We I feel like we could do it. I just don't know if we can really make it make sense.
We have a little bit of flexibility. We do. I think the linebacker route would be cheaper, at least. Like their market is not as good as a safety, but
I think if you guys are going to do that, though, I'd rather take the risk, and I'd rather make a trade up to get Jalen Carter than wait and see and waste more money eventually, like not down the road, but like in cap for Budda Baker, because you're going to have to
absolutely.
Depends how the awards going right now.
I think Howie's definitely trying to do everything in his power right now to probably go with Jalen Carter, because that's just putting your dick on the table after going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel that literally is. And my thing that I'm sitting here thinking about is there any world where Jalen Carter just starts falling with all of this shit that has come out about him before the draft, right? With the misdemeanor, the fatality in the car crash, the bad showing at his pro day, showed up out of shape. There's been reports where I saw a report where they said they're concerned that he's not super interested in football.
Yeah, I did see it as well. I've seen a lot of things with him too, which surprised me. But I don't know, man. Like, unless there's a lot of smoke going on, it sounds like it's legit.
In non-Eagles news, so C.J. Stroud was plus money this morning, and then he went to minus 160. 1 minute ago, C.J. Stroud is now minus 1,600 to be the number 2 overall pick of the draft tonight on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Dang. So he's going to Houston, or they're trading the pick.
Right.
That changes
number 3 looking to get
boards, man.
Which helps the Eagles, because that is a quarterback off the board.
But who would they? So they that means they would trade the pick for someone to take him. Am I correct? Like,
right. So I mean,
or they would just take him.
Probably not him.
Who else? Who wants to trade? I mean, that's who would trade up for him in that pick, though. Is my thing.
The Titans were the ones that were rumored to be trading up for him to the 3rd pick, though.
Yeah, that's to the 3rd.
Like
you know how mad they're gonna be if they traded to the 3rd to get him, and then someone leapfrogs them at number 2. Oh my gosh.
Well, because then Arizona's definitely taking. They would definitely be taking Will Anderson at that.
Well, they just lost J.J. Watt, didn't they?
Let me check DraftKings to make sure this tweet's actually like legit. But
right. It could just been.
It was on Bleacher Report betting, so I'm assuming it's got something to it. But let's see. Dude, minus 1,600. Will Anderson is now plus 700. Will Anderson was minus 350 this morning to go number 2. So that shit changed.
That's wild.
Got bet on one of them.
Yo, let me ask you guys that. Like, not even like who, like when it comes to like the draft experience, forgetting like your team and everything like that. Like, obviously, social media is great and it's like cool to like get these updates, but like, does it kind of ruin it? Like, because like I tell myself every year I'm staying off my phone, I'm staying off Twitter, but like I'm texting so many people back and forth about shit that I'm constantly just on my phone and scrolling through Twitter. So like, my phone's 2 or 3 picks ahead of what the damn TV is, and it's like I already know who's traded what, who's getting this. So it's like, damn. Now, it's like the AJ Brown thing. Like that probably came out like 5 minutes before it was announced on TV. So like,
that is true, and I do try to just watch. Like when my team's on the clock, I put my phone down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just like when I know they're coming up, I just don't want to. I don't want to know. I don't want to be surprised. I want to see that shit live and be excited. And like, I do agree though, because I think even just how streaming is now and how everybody's it used to be a little off, but now it's so off. Like it'll be like 2 minutes in a basketball.
How delayed it is, yeah.
So it's like
it's annoying.
FaceTime your friends during the game because somebody's sitting here like, yeah. You know what I mean?
Man. We tried to do at an old network I was at. We did live Eagles watch parties, but like it was during COVID, so it was like via like the StreamYard and all. And it's like, either myself or someone else is a play and a half ahead of other people on the stream, so you can't even do it. You know what I mean? No. It's like we're like at one point, like someone commented something on the stream. And we're like, oh, this didn't happen yet. Next thing you know, it happens like 25 seconds later, and you're like, well, screw this. Like we stopped
with fantasy. I don't keep I turn my notifications off during the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to see the updates about AJ Brown.
You have to, dude. Literally anything. Like even like I have like the score app.
Sleeper's the worst for that shit, man.
Yeah, dude. Like I have the score app, and it's like if I go on during like a Sixers playoff game, like somehow this freaking app is a bucket ahead of what my TV is. Like, are you?
You could be at the game and it would still be a bucket ahead.
Yeah. I've thought about that. So I'll be like, I'll check my phone and be like, wait a second, what's happening here?
The problem at the game is that your service never works, so you can't check.
Exactly.
You can't keep up with it on time, so you never know.
Exactly, but
oh man. So what? I guess we should wrap up here, man. I know we've been shooting the shit a while here. Should we make final predictions for what the Eagles do, and then maybe Hunter can give us a prediction for what the Cowboys do tonight?
Yeah.
Final prediction.
Let D-Rab start it off.
Yeah.
All right. Man, I think Bijan falls to 10, and we take Bijan, and then we end up trading back with the 30th pick. Something that pisses us off, but we understand. You know, like maybe it's only 5 picks, but we just don't get to see it tonight. But it gives us like an extra 4th or 5th rounder or something because we don't have that many picks.
You can see it. We have a huge gap.
We are like a little slack, and there is a gap. So it's like, and I think the Cowboys are gonna forfeit their pick because they're Ash.
The Dolphins had to forfeit their pick.
I know, that's crazy. That's sad. I work with so many Dolphins fans, and they're all just like, and I'm like, yeah, we got 2 picks.
They don't got any. They just see their pick voided out. Like that would suck, man. I'm feel bad for them, but they did it to themselves.
That's another pick closer though for our 30th pick.
Yeah, that is.
And all the quarterbacks. But anyway, y'all give your predictions.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Man, it's gonna go a way that none of us can even see it's gonna go. I know that just by the reports. Maybe it's the fact that the Eagles just don't move at all and they just take somebody right at 10. I'm gonna go with the flashy trade up for Jalen Carter. That's what the Eagles are gonna end up doing. I think, like Hunter said a little bit earlier, it's a great way for Howie to pull his meat out. As Doc Rivers would say, you don't play with your meat, but you can pull it out. And I think Howie does that tonight. And he goes and gets us a top 3 talent in the draft. It won't be Bijan Robinson, unfortunately, in that situation, but it will be the best defensive tackle, defensive lineman in the draft, and it'll be Jalen Carter, and I will be ecstatic. I'm going to go with that one. Pick 30. I have to see pick 10 and how that goes before I can even think about pick 30. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't be surprised if we traded out of the first round if we ultimately end up trading up to get Jalen Carter or staying it. And I wouldn't be surprised if we traded out of the first round.
I'll let the Cowboys fan go.
Look, man, we're going with the best. We're probably going to go with the best player available on the board for us, and that's probably. Hey, look, I wouldn't be mad if we go out there and get a DB as well. Even though we just got Gilmore and stuff like that, I wouldn't be upset if we go out and get some secondary. But we're probably going to go with the tight end, like what our need is. So that's going to be us. Prediction: we're not getting rid of Dak Prescott. So.
Unfortunately,
no big time trades tonight.
Great way.
No,
I think that's good for Eagles.
We're not gonna no big time trade for the Cowboys tonight.
Ah, damn.
All right. My goal is to trade up and get Jalen Carter. I just have I'm going to say that Howie is trying to move up, and I'm going to say he cannot. And I think we end up with an offensive lineman. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic and preparing myself for negativity. So I don't get too close to the ledge when the pick gets announced. But it feels like even through all the positive meetings and the quotes through Bijan and Jalen Carter, there's, at the end of each tweet, at the end of each report of, the Eagles are linked to this talent, but there's still a lot of love between this offensive tackle and this offensive guard.
So true. It is always.
I'm gonna say that's where they go. I'm gonna say Johnson's going. I'm gonna say they go with Skoronski. And Scotty, I'm sure I will have a couple choice words that I'll be sending you. But
I want Paris Johnson. I think that's the other side of it, man. I want that. I want Paris Johnson out of the lineman. Like that's
right. Out of him or Skoronski, I'd rather have him.
I want him, right? Like from Ohio State, the pedigree. Like, yeah, man. I feel you though. I feel you, man.
Before y'all wrap this up, though, I will say if we take a lineman, just like they made Jason Kelsey sit there and handpick his replacement in Cam Jurgens and really study the offensive line, they definitely would go to Stoutland. They would definitely go to the line and say, who do you think out of all these guys is going to make the best addition to our team? And I trust our line. I trust Stoutland. I trust Howie. I trust Lurie when it comes to lineman picks, other than Dillard, which he still wasn't. He was a very good depth piece for us.
Yeah.
To your point, it wasn't
point, Darius.
Look, but that's. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just gonna say to Darius's point about that. Outside of Jalen Carter and maybe Bijan Robinson, who would you feel the most sure about that the Eagles will handle this player properly? After those two, it would probably be an offensive lineman. So
yeah,
makes sense.
No, but what I was gonna say is though, but to y'all who do not want an offensive lineman, I would sit here and say, just look at what Tyler Smith did for us last year. Tyler Smith could be arguably the offensive rookie of the year. in my opinion. He played almost every position for us last year.
Yeah, he can lead you to the division.
And now he's our left tackle in the league, looking like a pretty dominant left tackle for years to come.
He does look nice.
So I mean, that just carries. I'm a firm believer and say we lose a lot of ball games if it was not for him last year.
I agree. I think that's the biggest thing for me. But that kid played day one for you. I think that's my biggest question mark when it comes to the offensive lineman pick. If he is your day one right guard starter, I will talk myself into it in 24 hours. Yep. If this is a depth piece, if this is Lane's replacement, if this and that, I'm going to be a little upset. But Scotty, I think that is going to wrap up this
great show, boys.
Draft party. We got about less than 15 minutes until the draft kicks off. Man, they need to close up the time between the first round picks. This is why it takes too long, man. The
10th pick is going to be at 9 p.m. an hour after it starts.
Yeah.
But hey, give Howie his time to work now.
Yeah, that is.
He might need those extra 5 minutes, you know.
Facts.
Hey boys, thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir, bro. Appreciate you guys
for coming on, boys.
Scotty, that is going to wrap up this Eagles draft party live here on DSM Media's YouTube channel. Guys, as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to check us out on Twitter first at DSM_media. Hit that follow button. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Check out the YouTube channel link. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications and enjoy your draft night.